4-0. Man, that has a nice ring to it as your Ohio State Buckeyes just got done bashing the Badgers of Wisconsin 52-21. Tommy Eichenberg and CJ Stroud lead the way. They got contributions from numerous players on Saturday night. We will discuss what we witnessed and what we learned about Ohio State right here on Locked on Buckeyes.
You are Locked on Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Buckeye fans? Welcome back to another episode of Locked on Buckeyes, part of Locked on Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. It is Monday, September 26th in the year 2022, and I'd like to thank LinkedIn Jobs for being the official college football recruiting sponsor across the Locked on College Network. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnCollege. Terms and conditions apply. I would also like to thank you for making Locked on Buckeyes your first listen or first watch of every single day. On today's episode, we will discuss what CJ Stroud and this offense did on Saturday night, as well as discuss the importance of Cade and Miyan Williams to the Buckeye offense in 2022. But before we get to any of that, everybody will marvel. Everybody will discuss what Stroud, what Harrison Jr., what Egbuka, what Williams, what Henderson, what the offense of Ohio State did when discussing what we witnessed on Saturday evening. That'll be the main or easy topic of discussion. But it all starts on defense. Starts with a guy named Tommy Eichenberg. And Tommy Eichenberg was phenomenal on Saturday evening, and this Buckeye defense knew what they had to do. If you slow down, Badgers running back Braelon Allen, 6'2", 235 pounds, one of the best backs in the league, you'll have a great chance of winning this game. That's exactly what happened. Yes, the Buckeyes were up 28-0 in this game. Also, at the same time, Tommy Eichenberg was leading the way, paving the way, aiding and encouraging and inspiring the Buckeye defense to play better ball in this game. And they knew the task was simple. Braelon Allen, corral him, slow him down, don't let him get loose. You'll have a great shot of winning the game. You might say, Jay, is it really that easy? Wisconsin, don't they have some receivers? I didn't see him over the weekend. Wisconsin, don't they have a decent quarterback? That's what they told me after the Illinois game, its first start in 2020. Since then, I have not seen Graham Mertz be a phenomenal or elite quarterback. Starter? Yes. But is he one of those elite guys? I don't think so. And when I think about the context of everything, yeah, it's that simple. You slow down Braelon Allen, you corral him, you slow him down, you will win the game. And Tommy Eichenberg, I start with him, highlighting him. There's so many other guys I can highlight with their importance in this game. JT Tuimoloau, Zach Sawyer had phenomenal performances. Teron Vincent and Mike Hall were the main two defensive tackles that Ohio State used, and they were wreaking havoc and causing confusion inside the interior of the D-line. But Tommy Eichenberg, man, he's playing in a way, he's playing at a level that Buckeye fans have been clamoring and thirsting for at that linebacker position. It's been a very long time that the Buckeyes have had a linebacker that has played at this level that Eichenberg is playing, not just at a decent or solid college football level, a guy that can get drafted into the NFL, but somebody that's going to make his mark on this team and be somebody that you could not say can't play or should not play or shouldn't be one of the better linebackers, be called one of the better linebackers in football. That's Tommy Eichenberg. He brings that old school middle linebacker, no nonsense, get out of my way, I'm going to the ball no matter what attitude on defense, and it's contagious. You can talk about Josh Proctor, you can talk about Ronnie Hickman, talk about Still Chambers and Cody Simon. I still think the biggest piece of this team right now on defense, one of the most important people, if not the most important person, Tommy Eichenberg. His leadership, they need it. His tenacity, physicality, you can feed off of it. And even in this game, you knew what the task was. Braelon Allen corralled him, slow him down. Now, granted, Wisconsin was without two of their tackles on offense, right and left tackle. So, I mean, that does hinder you on the offense, with Wisconsin's offense. But Eichenberg led the way. 14 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. I have no issues or no complaints with what we witnessed from him over the weekend. He also got contributions for the Buckeye defense. Still Chambers had 6 tackles. Josh Proctor had 6 tackles and 1 pass breakup. You had Ja'Kalen Johnson, who played a lot due to injury. He had 4 tackles. You also had Tanner McAllister, who had four tackles, a pass breakup, and an interception. When he got that ball in the, I think it was second quarter, you thought he was going all the way. It's not just Tommy Eichenberg. It's the entire defense. They are playing phenomenal. We're getting, not Tyleik Williams, excuse me, Teron Vincent, another first name that starts with a T. Teron Vincent. We marvel at Mike Hall's first step. Teron Vincent might be playing in his way. If he keeps this up, he might get drafted into the National Football League because of quickness, because of being able to read pre-snap and do things post-snap. This defense, man, I'm telling y'all, we marvel at the offense. We marvel at what they're doing. Praise Jim Knowles. Praise these players. Because without them, Ohio State cannot do on offense what they do, and they cannot do it as consistently. Maybe they can, but if you give Ohio State's offense very little time off the field and the defense of the other team can build steam, you might see a little bit of a different approach. This defense is elite, man, and this defense is as important as the Ohio State offense is right now in 2022. I mentioned Ja'Kalen Johnson had to play a lot. Cam Brown was out, did not play. Jordan Hancock is still out. He did not play. They were both ruled unavailable. Denzel Burke had a club in his hand, went through pregame warmups, but ultimately did not play. With the Buckeyes without 3 of their top 4 corners, Graham Mertz didn't do anything. I mean, even in the game, we had to throw the ball. Graham Mertz did nothing. 11 of 20, less than 100 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 55% completion percentage. That's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it at all. Wisconsin, you know their brand on offense. You know what they're about. And the Buckeye defense knew the task going into the game. And what did they do? Answered the call. Answered what they are pushed to do. They answered all the questions. And y'all, look, we'll break down more of this later in the week, but I just can't stop marveling and reveling at what they did on Saturday evening against a Badgers offense that has one of the better backs in the country. And outside of one long run, he only averaged 4.1 yards per carry. That's what I call a major win for the Ohio State defense on Saturday evening. A major win for the defense, that's great. But also there was a major win for the Buckeye offense as well. We'll discuss that next, and we'll discuss what they did on Saturday night right here on Locked on Buckeyes. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Posting a job on LinkedIn, it's so easy. You can create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs. Once you create your free job post, add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you are hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnCollege. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnCollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Thank you for listening to this fun reaction episode of Locked on Buckeyes. Head on over to the YouTube, hit that subscribe button once you search Locked on Buckeyes on the YouTube. Help this channel grow. There are some phenomenal things happening here, hoping and looking to ramp up the recruiting information that we can provide here on Locked on Buckeyes. Had a phenomenal episode discussing 5-star defensive ends in the class of 2023, Keon Keeley, Mateo Uiagalelei, and Damon Wilson. John Garcia Jr. of Sports Illustrated was back with us after a couple weeks away after having his first child with his fiance. Guys, John Garcia is back. Recruiting information is back. Go check out the episode. You will not be disappointed. So the Buckeye defense is amazing. The Buckeye offense, like as much as I revel and I'm amazed at what this Buckeye defense can do, the Buckeyes were up 28-0. And it surely seemed like there was nothing Wisconsin could do. Wisconsin, they could not sustain drives early in the game. They did have they had a scoring drive, if I remember this correctly. Had a scoring drive. First scoring drive was 10 plays, lasted 5 minutes and 2 seconds. They had another scoring drive of 14 plays, 80 yards, 7 minutes and 36 seconds. I mean, their scoring drives took a lot of time. It took a lot of time for them to move the ball up and down the field. They weren't doing that most of the game. And if you go and look at the drive summary, I went back on the Fox Sports app, and they ended up just simply saying, I saw it was 3 and out, maybe a 4-play. You lost the ball on downs, another 3 and out. There was a time you thought that Paul Chris was going to go for it on 4th down. He said no, the game was basically out of hand. And it's because it's Buckeye offense, man. Like, this Buckeye offense is doing things that you just don't expect them to do. Coming into the season, it was all about Jackson Smith-Njigba, Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka. People and I will tell you, I was saying Julian Fleming could possibly be in that conversation, but he has been battling injury so much we weren't sure what he was going to do. But in this game, as Stroud started off this game 8 for 8, completed his first 8 passes, Julian Fleming is somebody that even if Njigba is off of the field, Fleming is playing his way. I don't think he's going to go into the NFL this year. I think he needs another year under his belt of playing football consistently at a college level. But he's playing his way if he stays healthy into being a future NFL wide receiver. His physicality, 6'2", 205. He has a speed. His route running is getting better, and he's putting some finishing touches on his route running. And it's not just Stroud. This O-line, man, they're opening up holes. They're doing phenomenal things. DeJuan Jones looks like a healthier player, a slimmer player than he did a year ago. And he looks like he's someone, if you want to run behind him and Matt Jones, please, run to that right side. We said it once. I said it in the offseason. Remember the Titans. It was left side, strong side. Before this Buckeye offense in 2022, it might be right side, strong side, because a lot of these runs are right side behind Matt Jones and behind DeJuan Jones. The law firm of Jones & Jones, the Jones brothers, whatever you want to call them, they are doing some elite things on the right side of the offensive line. Yes, it's Stroud. But when you add in the importance of the two-headed monster of Miyan Williams, Travion Henderson, you're really realizing it's not just a passing attack. Brian Day said it a year ago, the goal is to average 250 through the air, 250 on the ground. You might not think averaging at 250 on the ground is going to be hard with those two backs, but it's a little bit harder than you think. And you know what you're going to be finding? They might be able to do it this year. This might be a season where they can get it done. And when it comes to things getting done, the passing game is getting some things done as well. Egbuka, 6 catches, 118 receiving yards. The Buckeyes only had four receivers that caught passes over the weekend. That doesn't even look right. It doesn't sound right, but I'm guessing just off the stats I'm looking at, Egbuka had 6 catches on 8 targets. Julian Fleming had 4 catches on 7 targets. Cade Stover had 4 catches on 6 targets. And then Marvin Harrison Jr. had 3 catches on 6 targets. 3 of those 4 players caught touchdown passes. Egbuka had 2. Julian Fleming had 1. Cade Stover had 2. Stover had 51 receiving yards. The two-headed monster of Henderson and Miyan Williams. Travion Henderson had 21 carries, 121 yards on the ground. 5.8 yards per pop was his average on the ground. Miyan Williams, 11 carries, 101 yards on the ground, 2 tutties, averaged 9.2 yards a pop. Dallin Hayden came in the second half, 8 carries, 31 rushing yards, averaged 3.9 yards a pop against a really good Badgers defense. Marvel at Stroud. Marvel at what he's doing. Marvel at how he's a Heisman frontrunner, where he should at least be in the conversation top 2 or 3 right now in the early portion of the season. Marvel at Miyan Williams. Marvel at Travion Henderson. Marvel at these receivers. Once you put the whole package together, you got what we witnessed over the weekend. You got a guy in Egbuka who was able to find the hole in the defense. You got Stroud, who was throwing the ball over the linebacker, right in front of the face of the DB, who in between those two is Ekbuka, and the ball is right where it needs to be, and it's there in time. G. Bush on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, Ohio State postgame show, said it best. Stroud is throwing it with velocity on a rope, but also feathery as well. I don't know how you do that. Like, I'm not a quarterback coach. I watch football. I don't know all the mechanics of all those things. But one thing I can tell you is what we're seeing from Stroud, I don't think we saw this from Justin Fields. Actually, a lot of things we're seeing right now, we never saw from Justin Fields. Ever. Stroud, does he have a favorite receiver? Yeah. But is he going to throw the ball to the guy who was open? Absolutely. This Buckeye rushing game is something. As they had 258 yards on the ground over the weekend. You also had carries from Kyle McCord. Mitch Ross, they got a fullback dive in the middle of the field, not on the goal line. 3 yards on that carry that he had. We're quickly finding the running game is opening things up in the passing game. We said it before. We'll say it again. A good running game will open things up. We'll cause safeties and DBs to come down. We'll cause linebackers to have flat feet. We'll cause your defensive end, who's supposed to be dropping back in coverage, but knows he needs to play the run first. We'll cause him to get flat-footed. Hey, it's going to cause a lot of things that are going to happen to this team, and we're currently finding out with this offense. It's not just an elite offense. Buckeyes are playing an elite defense right now. Yeah, Rutgers coming up, Iowa coming up, Michigan State coming up, who just lost to Washington a week ago, lost to Minnesota over the weekend, almost got goose-egged. Minnesota beat the Spartans 34-7, 35-7, one of the two. I think it was 34-7. The team up north at the end of the season, like Maryland, the Buckeyes might not have much competition this year. So what they need to do is fine-tune things in the offseason and during the week so that when they play the football games, this offense can keep playing at the same level it is every single week. This Buckeye offense, man, the Badgers had no answer. You would think a well-disciplined, well-coached team on defense would have an answer or be able to potentially slow down. The Buckeyes, they didn't do it at all. And I can't wait to see what they do this coming week against Rutgers. I also can't wait to see what Cade Stover and Miyan Williams do next week because of what they did over the weekend on Saturday night. What did they do? How important were they to the performance over the weekend? We'll discuss that next right here on Locked on Buckeyes. The Buckeye running game in the offseason, the conversation or the guy that got most of the talk was TreVeyon Henderson. I talked about him here on this show. Talk about the importance of the two-headed monster. Talk about a lot of things that happened that you expected to happen, or we discussed and happened, said, hey, this might happen or that might happen. But my eyeballs have told me so far one thing, and it has been very clear. This offense over the weekend flowed better with Miyan Williams being the featured back or getting more of the carries than with TreVeyon Henderson. I know who was the more highly touted recruit coming out of high school. I understand who's the more talented back right now at Ohio State. But something is telling me with my eyeballs that I've watched a lot of Buckeye football, that I've watched a lot of football in my lifetime. This offense flows better when Miyan Williams has the ball. And I think the offensive line feeds off of him. And we see how he has the ball. He had a phenomenal run, 4th and 1. Buckeyes were in plus territory. I think they're at the opponent's 40 or around there, and it was a little bit too far for a field goal. You don't want to punt the ball. Jesse Mirko could have been somebody that could have pinned the team down inside the 5-yard line like he did during his first punt in the game. Miyan Williams got the ball 4th and 1. He got hit towards around the line of scrimmage. I think he was past the line of scrimmage at that point, but he got hit, broke a tackle, and skedaddled to the right, which there was wide open. There's a lot of green space over there. Skedaddled to the right for a 9-yard gain. And so I think about this Buckeye offense, the importance of these two players, Stover and Williams. Stover gets things open because of what the defense has to do when Miyan Williams is on the field. His physicality, you want to call him pork chop, whatever nickname you want to have him, Miyan Williams, he has gotten in better shape. He has lost weight. He is someone that even in the offseason, many people did not think could be utilized in this way. I thought he should have been used more last year. I'm glad he's being used this way this year. Maybe Travion Henderson's going to break out next year. I don't know. But from what I have seen, Miyan Williams was one of the most important people at the skill position at Ohio State over the weekend that we had. Oh, the 11 carries for 101 rushing yards that he had in the let me get this correct. And the 2 touchdowns and 9.2 yards a pop per carry, that was in the first half. This young man did not have a carry in the second half of the game. Let that sink in for you. So we talk about the importance of a player, talk about exactly what they do, talk about what they do on the field. Miyan Williams is doing that in the first half against a very good, solid physical defense in Wisconsin. Imagine what he would have done if he played a portion and got 5 more carries in the third quarter. Let that sink in for you. The importance of a player in a game, all of his stats, as great as they were first half stats. If he played a full 4 quarters against that defense or against other defenses in the Big Ten, we'll quickly learn what this man's all about and why he should get more carries and touches at Ohio State in 2022. Another guy who I think should get more carries and touches. And I saw somebody say in a tweet, Jeremy Ruckert should be calling Ryan Day right now. It's Cade Stover. I don't think Jeremy Ruckert should be calling Ryan Day. I think that Cade Stover is doing some things that Ruckert didn't do. Ruckert had a lot of opportunities to be a guy. I think in physicality and run blocking, pass blocking as well, Stover is more physical. Chris Fowler said it best. Cade Stover is country strong. Cade Stover is a guy that is extremely strong and has the ability to do some crazy, phenomenal things when he is on the field due to his strength. But then you add in his ability in the pass game. You can split him out, put him in the slot. You can bring him back in, motion him inside, say he's on the slot on the right, be a split into the right, come back in, be a tight end on the right via a motion, or it could be offset left, a tight end position, but offset a few steps behind the line of scrimmage, motion back to the right. There's so many different tricks of the trade that you can do with Stover on offense that I don't know if you could do with Ruckert. I think Ruckert was a guy that was really, really talented, but Stover is showing more of a consistency, being able to beat people in man-to-man and in zone. Y'all, Cade Stover in this game, 4 catches, 51 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns, a long of 22 yards. You want to talk about people that need more attention? And last week somebody said, hey, how do you not have Cade Stover in stock up, stock down last Wednesday? To that person, he was one of the players of the game. And I simply said, there were a lot of guys that did not mention a stock up, stock down, mentioned a few freshmen towards the end of the stock up portion. Stover was someone that was on my stock up list after last week. Newsflash, I know it's not Wednesday. I'm going to tell you this now. He's getting a stock up right now for this weekend for what he did over the weekend because Cade Stover. We marvel at the receivers. What does Georgia have that a lot of other teams don't have in the country? An elite tight end. I'm not going to put Stover in the elite category yet, but he's really, really good. And a really, really, really good tight end will assist you and help the offense and help Stroud be more comfortable. Now, Stroud had some overthrows, had some ill-timed passes. He missed Cade Stover on a ball that was just a little bit too high. Stover could have had 5 or 6 catches in this game, possibly 3. He almost had 3 touchdowns. Like, we're marveling at the receivers. Stover is somebody that Ohio State needs right now as another weapon to be successful this year. We saw it against Wisconsin. We'll discuss more of the nitty-gritty details about what he does on the football field coming up later this week. At the time of this recording, the AP and coaches polls have not been released just yet. We'll discuss more of those if there's any shakeups, and we know how we look at the polls, but those might filter their way into future shows this week right here on Locked on Buckeyes. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at jstevens07. You can also send all of your emails to jstevens317 at gmail.com. Thanks again for making Locked on Buckeyes your first listen of every single day. Now head over to Locked on Big Ten to check out that podcast and make that your second listen of the day. Locked on Big Ten is hosted by Nate Dickinson. Nate Dickinson is joined by a local expert. They take you around the conference in 30 minutes every single day. Nate and I actually recorded a little segment about the Wisconsin game that I believe will be on Monday's episode of Locked on Big Ten. Head over there and check that out. Locked on Buckeyes and Locked on Big Ten. They are both free and available wherever you get your fine podcasts, like the YouTube, like the Odyssey app, like the Apple Podcast app, like the Spotify, wherever you get your fine podcasts. Locked on Buckeyes and everything at the Locked on Podcast Network. It's free for your enjoyment every single day. On this Monday recap show of what the Buckeyes did over the weekend, 52-21 bashing of the Badgers. We're out of here for the day. Look forward to talking to you tomorrow about the Ohio State Buckeyes.